Parkinson's disease is a progressive disorder of the central nervous system. It affects many areas of the brain, especially an area called the substantia nigra, which controls balance and movement. Symptoms to look out for are trembling or shaking of a limb, particularly when you are resting. Usually the tremor will start on one side of the body, most likely in one hand, but it can affect all parts of the body. Other symptoms include stiffness of the limbs and torso, slow movement, an inability to move, and postural instability. Because this disorder is progressive, these symptoms worsen over time. Parkinson's disease can also affect your emotions and cognition. Some people could develop psychiatric conditions such as depression and visual hallucinations, and some are at risk of developing dementia. The majority of cases of Parkinson's disease come from an interaction of genetic and environmental factors. Approximately 15% of people with Parkinson's disease have a family history of this disorder, which can be caused by mutations in the LRRK2, PARK2, PARK7, PINK1, or SNCA gene. Alterations in some genes, such as GBA and UCHL1, do not cause PD, but modify the risk of developing it in some families. The most common gene defect responsible for Parkinson's disease is LRRK2, which is leucine-rich repeat kinase 2. It is a protein-coding gene. It signals the brain to change its cell manufacturing process. But when you have a bad LRRK2 gene, it overproduces proteins, and the extra buildup of proteins leads to the death of brain cells, causing PD. Idiopathic means that a condition can happen spontaneously or for any unknown reason. In a cognitive study, PD patients with LRRK2 mutations responded in a more positive manner to cognitive and memory examination, opposed to patients with idiopathic Parkinson's disease. IPD patients had worse neurological responses and performed less favorably to retention methods. Environmental factors of PD involve environmental toxins like pesticide and herbicide exposure. Pesticides can have an impact on neuron function when combined with gene mutations. Smoking is another environmental factor, as well as living in a rural area, with the use of well water, farming, exposure to farm animals, and living on a farm. Head injuries are also concerning, especially with repeated traumatic loss of consciousness. In both genetic and environmental factors, there are other genes and causes that have not yet been identified.
Created using Powtoon.